The galaxy learned of it as it learned of most insults. A dry, precise research paper dripping with contempt. Dr. Krell Pess of the Melora Institute had published again, this time mocking human lungs.
The human lung is a primitive single chamber. No division, no redundancy, a child's design.
His previous paper, on primate vertigo, had been a disaster. But Krell Pess never learned.
90 seconds. That is the absolute limit. Hypoxia destroys their fragile tissues beyond that. Anything more is biologically impossible.
The paper's title spread like fire. On the primitive single-chamber lungs of humans on Earth, the news hit like a bomb. Pundits called it an act of war. Citizens demanded a response, but the real response came from Earth Space Command. They did not write a rebuttal. They made a call, somewhere on Earth. A diver was about to be asked to hold her breath not for 90 seconds, but for as long as it took to change everything, in a secure Earth command bunker. Captain Isla Vargas studied the file that had just landed on her desk.
They want a human who can hold their breath until Krell Pess swallows his own paper. Find someone.
The name that surfaced was Amelia Chen, competitive free diver. Personal best 11 minutes and 18 seconds.
Get her on the next transport. Brief her in the air.
You want me to prove an alien scientist wrong by not breathing? That is the mission?
You will be on live galactic feed. No pressure suit. No backup oxygen. Just you and a chronometer. Fail, and humanity looks like a species of boastful primates.
I have held my breath longer than most people can hold a conversation. When do we start?
That evening, Amelia was back in her element, suspended in cool water, eyes closed, heart slowing to a crawl.
It is not about fighting the urge. It is about convincing the body it never needed air.
In the flickering light of the pool, she floated like a secret weapon, already far past the minute mark. Nowhere near her limit. The Galactic Cultural Exchange Network, always hungry for spectacle, seized the moment.
Live and exclusive. A human volunteer will attempt to disprove Dr. Krell Pess's recent findings by not breathing. Tune in.
Within hours, Krell Pess received the invitation to commentate, to witness.
They are delivering my proof to me on a broadcast platter. I accept. Let all species see the limits of primitive biology.
He did not ask who the volunteer was. He did not consider the possibility of being wrong. Light years away, a transport docked at the network's orbital studio. Amelia Chen stepped out, calm as still water.
This is just another breath hold. The longest I've ever done, but the same practice. Calm. Control.
Backstage, Earth's crew rigged the tank, triple-checking seals, while alien stagehands stared. Krell Pess arrived separately, striding through the VIP entrance, already practicing his victory remarks. The trap was set. The stage waited. And neither of them had yet laid eyes on the other. The broadcast began with a sonic boom of light. Billions tuned in from 100 systems.
Dr. Krell Pess, your paper claims humans cannot hold breath beyond 90 seconds. Tonight, we test that very assertion.
I stand by every word. The human single-chamber lung is a biological cul-de-sac. This will be a short demonstration.
Jor, Elm turned to the far door. And here is our volunteer. Amelia Chen stepped into the light.
Remember the rhythm. Inhale, pause, let the oxygen saturate. This is just another session.
She climbed into the transparent tank, its walls gleaming under the lights. No air supply, no mask. The crew sealed the hatch with a hiss. Inside, Amelia sat down, cross-legged, and began her preparatory breaths. A giant chronometer on the wall blinked to life. 0 o'clock. Krell Pess smirked from his console. She inhaled one last time. Then she stopped. The tank was silent.
Now we shall see. In 90 seconds, her body will betray her.
The chronometer ticked upward. 10 seconds. 30. 90. Amelia did not move. Alien spectators, who had expected a quick spectacle, began to whisper. Some leaned forward. At 1 minute 30 seconds, the first real murmur swept the studio. The volunteer had not surfaced.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are past Dr. Krell Pess's predicted limit. The human remains motionless.
The 90-second mark came and went. Krell Pess's expression tightened. He lifted his own chronometer to confirm.
The lung should be starving by now. My calculations were reviewed. Why is there no convulsion?
2 minutes. The tank was utterly still. Not a finger moved. The chronometer kept climbing.
2 minutes, viewers. We are receiving queries from medical observers across the galaxy. Is she all right?
Krell Pess cross-referenced his chronometer with the wall timer, his frown deepening. The numbers agreed.
2 minutes, and still. The single-chamber theory was supposed to be unassailable. What is happening?
The chronometer passed 3 minutes. Then, for the first time since the seal, Amelia opened her eyes. She reached to her side and lifted a waterproof puzzle sheet, its black and white grid catching the light. With a magnetic pen, she began to write. 15 across, 4 letters.
I don't understand. She is holding her breath and solving a linguistic puzzle. This is not possible.
The alien audience, which had never seen a crossword, stared as if witnessing a miracle or a crime.
This is a mockery. She has concealed an oxygen supply. I demand the tank be opened immediately.
Dr. Krell Pess, the tank has been inspected. There is no hidden supply.
Then she is in serious danger. Her brain will suffer hypoxia. Open the tank.
But Amelia ignored the commotion, calmly filling in another word. Down 8 letters. Endurance.
2 more minutes to go. They have no idea what the human body can do.
At 4 minutes, Krell Pess reached for his private comm, signaling a figure in the shadows of the tech booth.
Override the safety lock. Flood the tank. I will not let my legacy be destroyed by a circus act.
In the secluded Earth control booth, Captain Vargas saw the override request flash across her screen.
They're trying to sabotage it, kill the remote protocol, now.
Her crew executed the countercommand. Across the studio, the assistant's console flashed red, disabled. Krell Pess's fingers flew over his own controls, but every pathway was locked.
They anticipated this. The humans are not just defiant, they are prepared.
Vargas leaned back, cold satisfaction in her eyes.
Nice try, Doctor. The galaxy is watching.
In the tank, Amelia traced another answer, untroubled by the battle of wills outside her glass walls. 5 minutes. Amelia finished the first row of the crossword, then the second, her mind locked in a rhythm older than language.
She is still writing. 6 minutes now, by every known metric. She should be unconscious.
The chronometer read 6 minutes, 40 seconds. Her pen never wavered.
This single-chamber lung, it should not be possible. My data, my entire career.
At 7 minutes, Amelia set down the pen and lifted the completed puzzle. Pressing it against the glass, the alien audience fell utterly silent. Even the medics by the stage stopped murmuring.
Look, the puzzle, completed. 7 minutes without air, and she solved it flawlessly.
Krell Pess stared at the crossword, his hands frozen above the console. The paper he had built his name on was ash.
That is the first half. Now let them watch the rest.
The timer climbed past 7 minutes, and still she sat, serene, as if she had all the air in the universe. After the puzzle, Amelia lowered her hands and shut her eyes. The chronometer passed 8 minutes. On his monitor, the timer marched past 8 minutes. Krell Pess felt the cold collapse of his career settling in his chest.
Emergency override. Kappa sequence. Release the tank now.
The command tore through the studio's systems. In the Earth booth, a new alert blared. Vargas was already reaching for the kill switch.
Block it at the network layer. He's panicking, and it's making him sloppy.
The signal fizzled. Krell Pess's screen flashed a single word in red: locked. Murmurs swept the audience. They weren't watching the miracle of human endurance anymore. They were watching a scientist self-destruct.
How could I be this wrong? The data, the models, the decades, all to end here.
In the Earth booth, the tension broke. 9 minutes, 30 seconds. The crew exchanged quiet high fives. Through the glass, Amelia was a figure of absolute calm. 10 minutes. She wasn't even close to done. The medics readied their resuscitation kits, eyes darting between the timer and the motionless figure in the tank. 10 minutes, 20 seconds, and still no sign of distress. The alien audience had grown so quiet, they could hear the hum of the lights. In the Earth booth, Captain Vargas gripped the edge of her console, knuckles white. The crew held their breath. The display showing Amelia's personal best flickered as the timer surpassed 10 minutes, 30 seconds. She was entering uncharted territory. Amelia's chest barely moved. The only sign of life was the faint pulse at her throat, visible only to those closest to the glass. At 10 minutes 50, the medics stepped closer to the tank, instruments ready. One exchanged a fearful glance with a colleague.
Come on, Amelia. Just a little more. You are rewriting the books.
A flutter of her eyelids, so slight it might have been a trick of the light, but she did not break. The timer clicked to 11 minutes. The galaxy watched, not breathing, as a human shattered the impossible. The next seconds would decide everything. The chronometer ticked upward. 11:10, 11:20, 11:20, 11:30. No one in the studio drew breath. At 11 minutes and 35 seconds, a thin stream of bubbles escaped Amelia's nose. Then her lips parted. She opened her eyes, the faintest smile crossing her face, and leaned toward the internal speaker.
How did I do?
The chronometer froze at 11:35, a single number that meant everything. In the console booth, Dr. Krell Pess dropped his head into his hands.
11 minutes, 35 seconds. My paper was wrong by a factor of almost 8.
The studio erupted, but for Krell Pess, there was only the sound of a career collapsing. Amelia floated in the tank, her heartbeat slow and steady, having just rewritten the laws of human physiology. The galaxy would never see a human the same way again. The studio lights flared as the broadcast host, Jor-El, struggled to find words.
Ladies and gentlemen, the human has held her breath for 11 minutes and 35 seconds.
The audience erupted, chairs scraping, cheers and gasps in a dozen languages rolling like thunder. Amelia remained in the glass, calm as ever, watching the frenzy with a quiet, knowing smile. Dr. Krell Pess had not moved since the bubbles rose. His chronometer still showed the impossible number.
For context, Dr. Krell Pess's paper stated a 90-second limit. The human has exceeded that by almost 8 times.
Krell Pess shrunk deeper into his chair, as if he hoped to vanish from his own disaster. The production crew cut away from his booth, but not before the galaxy glimpsed a scientist shattered. Even the Earth control booth erupted, Captain Vargas pounding her console in triumph, crew hugging. In that moment, every textbook that had dismissed human respiration became obsolete. The broadcast ended with a slow fade, but the galaxy was already lighting up with the news. On 1,000 worlds, holographic headlines screamed, "Human holds breath, 11:35, shatters physiological laws." Backstage, Dr. Krell Pess was escorted through a corridor, his assistant holding a coat over his face. The smash of a Melora Institute branded chronometer echoed through the empty booth. In the main hall, Amelia climbed out of the tank to a hero's reception. Towels, blankets, cheers from her crew.
I told you I could hold a conversation.
You held more than a conversation, Amelia. You held a galaxy.
Vargas shook her head, a rare, genuine smile breaking through her military poise. Across the studio, Krell Pess disappeared through the back exit, and the cameras let him go. The public story was set, an arrogant scientist humbled, a human who defied biology, but the official reckoning had not even begun. The Melora Respiratory Sciences Institute was summoned before an emergency disciplinary board within 48 hours of the broadcast. The charges were gross misconduct, public endangerment, and attempted sabotage, all broadcast live to 1 billion witnesses. The verdict was swift. The institute would be dissolved. A new charter would ban unsupervised Earth-related research in a sterile office. Dr. Krell Pess sat across from a legal attaché who slid a document across the polished desk. It was an early retirement agreement. Complete separation from the institute in exchange for silence.
A lifetime of research. Gone. No appeal. No legacy. Just this.
He picked up the stylus and signed. The agreement dissolved his tenure, his lab, and his career with a single pulse of light as he left. The Institute's holographic sign shifted to a single damning word: dissolved. Galactic news feeds announced the new charter. All Earth-related research must undergo independent supervisory verification. The galaxy had drawn a line. A single human had not just shattered a theory. She had rewritten interstellar scientific protocol. Months after the broadcast, two very different second acts began on opposite ends of the galaxy.
A smaller life, quieter. The dough requires nothing that I cannot give.
On a neutral station, a modest storefront appeared, its warm light spilling onto the corridor. The sign read Krell's Crusts.
The recipe is simple. Flour, water, salt, and patience. I find patience easier now.
Meanwhile, on Earth, Amelia Chen's free diving school opened on the sun-drenched shores of Hawaii.
If you can breathe, you can learn to hold your breath, even if you are from another world.
The response was immediate and overwhelming. Alien applicants flooded the registration system from 100 worlds. 47,000 applications arrived in the first month alone. Amelia's inbox overflowed with messages of hope and curiosity. Amelia looked at the endless queue and realized her small school had become a beacon for a galaxy eager to understand.
12. I can accept 12, but those 12 will carry this breath hold beyond Earth.
Among the 12 she selected, one application stopped Amelia cold. A small alien from Melora named Sophia.
Melora. The same world that told us we had primitive lungs.
The paper that Dr. Krell Pess wrote. I never believed it. My people are not weak. I want to prove we can learn your way.
There is fire underneath that lavender skin. She will be the first to break the alien barrier.
Amelia took her into the shallow training pool personally, away from the other students.
Forget the numbers. Forget Krell Pess. Just listen to your body. If you panic, you lose. If you relax, you float.
Sophia struggled at first, gasping at 2 minutes, frustration etching her features. But she did not stop.
It burns, but the human school does not allow the burn to win. I will not allow it.
Weeks passed. Sophia could be found in the water before sunrise, alone, suspended in meditation. The school watched. A small lavender alien, holding her breath longer than any non-human in history had dared. But her trial was still ahead. The day of the attempt, the shallow pool was circled by every student and instructor the school had. Sophia took 3 deep breaths, then submerged. The chronometer on the wall began its quiet march. 1 minute passed. 2, 3. Sophia floated as still as a moon in its orbit.
The burn is there, a distant fire. But I have trained it into a quiet flame. It will not win.
The chronometer shimmered at 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Amelia's knuckles were white. Then the number turned. 4 minutes. Sophia broke the surface, a gasp ripping through the silence.
4 minutes. You did it, Sophia. 4 minutes.
Amelia pulled the small alien into a hug that soaked them both, laughter erupting around the pool.
My people are not weak. We can learn. We can endure.
The school erupted. The first non-human static apnea record was not a footnote, it was a bridge. In the back room of Krell's Crusts, a small screen flickered with the day's news. Sophia of Melora, first non-human to achieve a 4-minute static breath hold.
A Melora native, taught by the human I mocked, and she succeeded.
He switched off the feed and stood in the quiet, the scent of fresh bread a world away from laboratories. He walked to the front counter and selected a basket of fruits from a display, arranging them with a baker's precision.
A small acknowledgement, not for redemption, just truth.
He wrote only a few words on a simple card. To Amelia's school, congratulations, KP. Then sealed the delivery. As the courier drone lifted away, Krell Pess did not watch it go. He returned to his dough.
The dough is patient. It does not ask for credentials. It just becomes what it is meant to be.
He let himself, for the first time, be simply what he was. A baker who had once been very wrong. Far away, a basket was crossing the stars, carrying the only thing he had left to give. A small drone descended through the Hawaiian morning and left a wicker basket at the school's front desk. Amelia found it after the morning session, the card tucked among the fruits. She turned it over. It read, "To Amelia's school. Congratulations, KP."
He sent this from Melora. The same hands that wrote those cruel words now chose these. Sophia, come look at this.
That is his name, the one who called us primitive.
Yes, but look what he wrote. He is learning.
She placed the card in a small frame on the school's lobby shelf, beside the chronometer that had once marked 11:35.
A single gesture doesn't rewrite history, but it can begin a new chapter.
The fruit basket sat beside it, a quiet reminder that even the deepest divides could be bridged, breath by breath. Months later, the Galactic Council convened not to discipline, but to honor. Amelia Chen walked to the dais, her black swimsuit replaced by a simple formal jacket. The chronometer, frozen at 11:35, projected behind her.
I accept this award for Sophia, for every alien student who chose to breathe my way, and for a baker who learned to bake a better answer.
On the neutral station, in the back room of Krell's Crusts, a small screen showed the ceremony.
A baker who learned to bake a better answer. She mentioned me.
A faint smile crossed his blue features, the first genuine one in years.
It was never about the lungs. It was about the will to hold on. And she held on.
He looked away from the screen, toward the window where his own quiet world waited. The dough was rising. The morning bread would be ready soon. And in the quiet of his bakery, a once arrogant scientist finally understood what his paper had missed. Humility. The free diving school became a living mosaic. Dozens of species in the saltwater pool. Coaches calling out breath patterns in 4 languages. Sophia moved among the students, a stopwatch in her 4-fingered hand, her voice gentle but firm.
Remember, your lungs are not primitive. They are the result of 1,000,000 years of survival. Now, 3 minutes. Go.
In the school's small museum corner, a smashed Melora Institute chronometer sat under glass, its shattered logo frozen in time. A small plaque beside it read, "From error, growth. From breath, understanding." Light years away, Krell's Crusts had become a quiet success, known not for the baker's past, but for the quality of his bread. Inside, Krell Pess shaped a round loaf with the same precision he once reserved for datasets.
This loaf will be ready in 1 hour. No shortcuts, just patience.
Behind him, on a small shelf, a copy of the original Melora paper sat next to a framed news article of Sophia's record. The two sat side by side, the mistake and its mending, as a quiet testament to a galaxy that had learned to breathe together. On the last evening of the first year, students gathered by the pool. A human diver and a lanky alien trainee reached out and shook hands. Sunlight caught the splash of salt water between their fingers, and for a moment, the only sound was the soft lap of the tide. Inside the school's hallway, the old chronometer from the demonstration hung on the wall, repaired, its display permanently frozen at 11:35. A plaque beneath it read, 11 minutes, 35 seconds. The moment a species stood still and proved that limits are only the beginning. Amelia walked past the exhibit, pausing as she always did. The memory of the tank, the crossword, the bubbles, it all settled into a quiet pride.
The first breath of a new understanding.
She smiled, and the chronometer's quiet glow was the only witness. A galaxy that had once mocked a single breath now held its own, one pair of lungs at a time. And in a bakery far from Earth, a blue-skinned baker took a fresh loaf from the oven and knew, without a word, that it was true. The first breath was never the end. It was only the beginning.